SULSA is an alliance across 12 Scottish universities and 1 research institute, which aims to drive Scotland's research innovation in life sciences, really through strategic collaboration. To a wide range of members, we aim to work across institutes, across disciplines, and also across sectors. SULSA, very importantly, covers the entirety of life sciences. So it's really important for this fund in particular that, just moving my screen, sorry, that anybody from the whole breadth of life sciences, from humans, plants, animals, and microbial science, are applicable to be able to apply for this fund. The work that SULSA does falls underneath 4 pillars, being international network building, industry engagement, inter and multidisciplinary knowledge exchange, and inclusivity and improved research culture. We run a number of funding calls, a number of events, and really look to try and drive connectivity for yourselves across universities, but also at an international level, with quite a bit of our work being focused with Germany, and also helping you engage with industry and with the industry engagement and commercialization side of things. So I'm going to talk about the Innovation Seed Fund. So this is a fund that SULSA has run over a few times over the last couple of years. And this year we're really delighted to be able to deliver it with the Data Lab. There's a QR code there which will take you to the SULSA website page for the Innovation Seed. It's a seed that looks to foster new collaborative projects across the academic and the industrial sector, really driving novel and exciting research and innovation. It is really important that all applications focus and belong to the area of life and health sciences, and there needs to be a strong data or digital element. You do not need to be a life scientist to apply for the fund, but it really does need to engage with life sciences and life scientists if you're applying not from that discipline. So we will look to fund projects between £5,000 and £15,000, and they will be for new collaborative projects between industry and academia that, as I say, belong to the benefit research, which is to the benefit of life and health sciences with a strong data or digital element. In terms of the scope of the fund, it can be used for research costs, for travel, for facilities access. It cannot be used to employ staff. The amount requested must be match fund through cash, or it can be in-kind contributions from industry. And projects should have a significant consideration for sustainability post-award and show a demonstrable potential for securing further funding. The scheme can be for a new project within a new or existing industry academia partnership. We appreciate that it is more likely to be successful and be completed within the 12 months if there is potentially already an MOA in place between yourselves and the company you want to work with. But you can't apply for funding to continue an existing project with that company, but you could fund a new project with that company or a new project with a new company, a new partnership. In terms of eligibility, so we have slightly changed our eligibility criteria for this fund, which opens up the scope of the people that can apply for it. So the lead applicant, you can be a senior postdoctoral researcher, but you need to have secured at least £50,000 in independent research funding, not including fellowships and grants, or be a principal investigator that has secured less than £50,000 of independent research funding. There must be an industrial co-applicant with agreed match funding, and these industrial co-applicants can be from outside of Scotland. You need to be a employee of one of the SULSA universities. You can see the logos along the bottom of the screen here, and that includes the James Hutton Institute. You can apply for projects which are more about commercialisation of research, but it is important, and in that case you don't need an industrial co-applicant, but you do need to show a strong case of support from a business development specialist inside your institution, but we'd also really encourage you to be having some kind of external guidance and advice, whether that's from the likes of Scottish Enterprise or other organisations. You must have at least 12 months remaining on your contract from the application deadline. There's an asterisk here because if you don't, but you have a strong letter of support from your your PI if you're a postdoctoral researcher, or your line manager if you're a PI, explaining that there is a look for your contract to be extended, then please do include that, and then you can be eligible. A few additional points to make. You can include additional co-applicants from other universities or other sectors. These cannot replace your industry co-applicant, but you can have other people involved in the proposal. Funds will be awarded to the lead applicant in that case and to the university, so that's where the funds will go. Again, mentioning that we support all areas of life sciences, from animal, human, plant and microbe. And don't forget to ensure that the data and digital element in your proposal is strong and central, considering the funding that we have with this one from the Data Lab. As the Data Lab are funded by Scottish Funding Council, it must comply with the Constitute Subsidy Control, previously state aid. I think that is something that all of your institutes will be aware of, and I don't imagine that would be any kind of problem, but something to be aware of. So in terms of the application form, we need a completed application form as well as your CV condensed into a PDF. Important dates here, the applications are due in by Monday the 30th of June. Generally our cutoff is 5 p.m. and the project completed by the 1st of August 2026. And as I mentioned, you apply by sending a merged PDF of the application form and CV to our Senior Operations Officer, Jill Inkster. In terms of the judging criteria, this one will be reviewed in 2 phases. And this is because of the innovation and industry engagement side of these funds. So there'll be first a review of scientific quality. This will be done by the SULSA Executive Committee and a few others. And secondly, the Data Lab will do a review looking at commercial feasibility. The things they're going to consider within this, and the things that you need to consider throughout your application, is the novelty, innovative nature and need for the project, the impact and commercial feasibility of the project, the collaborative strength of the project, so the partners coming together in this, that's really important, engagement of external organisations and or development of students or staff, the potential to leverage further funding, that's quite a big one here, and sustainable and impactful outcomes, that kind of links back to that last one. So I'm just going to talk through the application form now, and just to give a few kind of tips and tricks, and then maybe if there's any questions on it at the end, I'm happy to take those. So the project summary really is just the title of your project, the duration and the contributors. And then the project overview is very much a lay summary. So please do consider that the people reading your application will not be experts in your field. They will likely, most of them, be from life sciences, but as we know, that is extremely broad. So please do use minimal jargon and really stress the importance of why you're doing this work and who is going to benefit from it, rather than getting into the technical side of the science. Then you're going to talk us through your project management. So the role of each collaborator, important that you've identified what each person is going to do and where the responsibilities lie and where the value add is from each side. How you'll manage the project and the milestones, and within these milestones, understanding then where those 2 partners are interwoven into those milestones, and what are your proposed outputs, and having those tangible outputs that you will be able to measure at the end of the 12 months, but also as you're moving through, so you can very much keep track of your progress and ensure that feasibility continues. We then ask about the main scientific question and or industrial challenge that is being addressed by the project and why it's important. Again, keeping this really quite top level, and really about that impact and how it's going to make a difference in the long term, appreciating that a 12-month project with possibly £10,000 isn't going to change the world, but what is the kind of long-term look that you have, and why is it relevant? Then we'd like you to talk about the expertise being brought together by the proposed project, and that exchange of expertise and that value add. In SULSA, we really value career development, people development, All of our funds have a strong element in that. So we want to see the scientific impact, but we also want to see that there is a good development and exchange of expertise between, and that there's real benefit to the applicant here in terms of in their career as well as the project. Tell us how it's novel and innovative. This is similar to the lay summary in that we want you to avoid jargon, but still it's an opportunity for you to maybe give us a little bit more scientific detail. And then defining the socioeconomic impact. This is again top level, kind of why is it important, and how it is important. And then we ask you to provide 6 key references relating to the project. What is the benefit to the applicants? This is then, as I mentioned before, so this is a bit more where you can elaborate about the benefit to you as a researcher, but also maybe think about the longer term impact of the collaboration. What is the benefit to the life sciences community, and how will you ensure these benefits? So very much big picture context around the project, and how you'll realise those benefits. So what are you actually going to do to make sure those are realised? Letting us know if you've engaged with anyone externally. If you haven't yet, that is okay, but maybe think about who you might engage with throughout the 12 months, who you would look to engage with, and let us know a few of those people that you've looked into. It helps us see that you are kind of looking up and out and looking at the network ahead of you, which you're going to need if you're going to start to look to work across the sector between industry and academia. So I think showing the intention for this and the awareness for this, even if you haven't yet done it, is going to help your application and strengthen it. And then how do you plan to leverage further funding? It's good here to be as specific as you can. It definitely, I would say, if you have identified a specific actual call that you would look to access in the future, or multiple calls that could be accessible, and a why and how. And so I think this is quite a big one. So I'd pay attention to it, and I wouldn't be too vague. It does say there, please provide specific details, and it will really help in the success of your application if you've shown this potential. So then the last part is just to break down the costs. Please remember, you cannot use it to pay for staff costs. We want a clear breakdown of the consumables, of equipment, travel, facilities access. It doesn't need to be specifically itemized as to which antibodies you'll buy, but it does need to have a rough kind of idea of how is the money going to be kind of apportioned out, and an understanding then of the match funding or the in-kind contribution. How is that going to work toward the project in a financial and resource way, so we can get a better understanding of what that project looks like. And that's what really helps us here. We're not necessarily number crunching and going to say, well, that's a silly amount for consumables or anything like that. It's more what helps us to understand the context of what you're actually going to do and the feasibility of it. It helps us definitely see that. The justification that follows on from that really is just kind of, why have you allocated it in that way, and why is it important? A few things in terms of common mistakes. Focusing too much on technical details, and definitely if you copy and paste an abstract from, say, a submission to a conference and you put that into your lay summary, that's going to be noticed pretty much immediately, and won't go down very well. So make sure that you are writing it fresh, and not focusing too much on the technical details when you're putting forward your proposal. Sell yourself, please. You know, we read things and when we want you to tell us how brilliant you are, because you will be doing great things, and I'm sure you have a fantastic idea. And so do, you know, use it as a platform to promote yourself and your investability as an academic who wants to work with industry. Try and avoid kind of vague answers. I would suggest at this point, we appreciate ChatGPT and other available OpenAI platforms are used to help people draft and write things like this. If you are going to use anything like that, please make sure that you make it specific to what you want to say, and use it as a tool to refine rather than to write something for yourself. It is quite obvious when it has been written by ChatGPT, especially in that vagueness of answers. So please just be aware of that in what you're submitting, because it is noticeable, and it's something we've noticed creeping in, and it's never seen to go very well in terms of success into shortlisting or funding. Make sure you understand the question, and do not go over the word count. That is quite a bit. I'm a real stickler for that one, and I know some of the other reviewers are as well. So I'm not saying you have to keep it to exactly the point, but don't be going significantly over, because it's evident and obvious, and it's then we can't do a fair review process when other people have stuck to it. So that is important. So lastly, to talk about reporting, just making sure that you keep us updated on your plans and on any outcomes that might come. Also, any challenges you have. We're here if there are things that you're finding delays or challenges or problems. Please come to us and speak to us. And the Data Lab is our partner in this. I'm very happy to look to support. We will survey you 3 months after the project is finished, and then 1 year after. As I mentioned, please keep us up to date. And so that's me. I'm going to stop the recording here and ask if there are any questions.